we are the measure of each other. For example, I am myself because there's another human being there. Because I cannot, if I measure myself in silence, it's not a true measure. It's not objective. But for example, if I'm to say, who is Gordon? Gordon is patient. Gordon is kind. Gordon is this. I am all those things because of how I relate with other people. Do you see that? Even the way we say this person is this, we are saying that out of measurement. You see that? That person, who is Gordon? Gordon is selfish. It is, do you see that? So your character is actually tied with how, to other people. We are the measure of each other. So our humanity is not meant for us. You see, our humanity is measured by how human we are to other people.
Welcome, Gordon. It's always a pleasure to speak to someone on live quality. And like the way we usually run the podcast, and I say we, I just mean me. It's all about really getting into the conversation. I have this hypothesis that in about 60 minutes, you can get to learn or to capture the soul of the person in a conversation. You need about 60 minutes, right? That's my hypothesis. And if you speak with them, with an openness, that sort of like creates the space for them to kind of like contribute. Like I feel and I believe that you actually start to experience their wisdom, or what I would describe as their lived experience, or the language of their expression. And once you're able to step a bit into that, then you can now see almost from where they're seeing. And so that's what I try to do. That is the challenge.
Goodness me, that is a massive challenge you've set for yourself. To be able to capture one's soul, that is a massive challenge you've set. So how do you go about capturing someone's soul? What kind of questions have you set for yourself to say, hey, this is the question I'm going to ask to capture someone's soul? And how do you ensure that actually the part that someone is giving you is indeed their soul?
Well, I don't have. That's the thing. I found like you don't. The approach is not with the question, because in any sort of interview, you would be using questions, like very targeted to try and mine for some specific, part of them or persona of who they are. But what I find works better is it's more like an open invitation. It's like, let's see where the mind is at. Where's we try to lean into the curiosity, into the wonder, to kind of like see what's going to come forth, and then we can work with that and sort of like try and stay as flexible as possible and see if we can go down a rabbit hole. I use I borrowed the model from John Vervaeke's work. He talks about this framework of a conversation, of dialectic into the logos. And he says you can always start off somewhere with something specific, but then if you take the direction of wandering, as opposed to the scientific method of trying to be specific, but you go the opposite side, you could end up in very strange places. But if you're being intentional, like, you can still keep it going. And he uses fancy language, and because you're trying to follow the logos, like you're trying to follow the spirit of the conversation to see wherever it will lead you. And it's very fascinating. Yeah.
That is very fascinating, because you see, this is the thing. It is the fact that you have postulated some of these ideas and thought about them in a way that I have not. And I think that is the beauty of some of our conversations, is that we've considered things, but in a different kind of perspective to one another. and bringing them together is I think where the magic happens. But what you're saying is, I think, quite profound, because at the beginning, when you're saying you want to capture someone's soul, I was thinking, how do you do that without getting personal? How do you do that without asking someone, what is your purpose? What's, all those questions, as you say, targeted questions. But um, if someone has got an intentionality of listening and saying, you know what, I am here to listen, irrespective of what you talk about, if you wander long enough, someone will say something that will peer into their soul, because it's an exercise that personally I've tried in my life, because I intend to listen. I do intend to listen. And when you listen, you get surprised what people say about themselves, even without saying it. And if someone is emotionally mature enough, and you can sort of peer into some of these little crevices that they've let you in, it becomes beautiful. But then sometimes people get, I'm defensive. I am this, I am that. But yes, Viveki is right. You can get into someone's soul merely by just wandering into conversation, as long as the individual feels that comfort to be able to sort of wander, because wandering is also not the ability to not be constrained by thought. You see, that for me, it's very interesting, because when you're intentional at listening, you are intentional, not just keeping quiet, but listening. And as you said, capture someone's soul. And I think that's what listening does. You capture a bit of another person's soul and how they feel. And but for people that are perceptive, it's that, and you listen. There is a way people bring out pieces of themselves, even their insecurities, even their childhood, in the way that they talk. You see, the good book says that out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Do you see that? And so it is hard. It is hard when you think about it, for someone to hide for so long, except they've practiced deception for a very long time. But yeah, so I think I'll give you that. You can go into someone's soul with one.
Yeah, no, and I've noticed it. Like all the guests I have had, I think for majority, because like people will ask, "So do you have questions?" And I would say, "No, I don't. I don't have specific questions." So what you'll do, you'll come to the conversation, and we'll see what happens. And people find this very uncanny. They kind of like, what do you mean? I need to know what I'm getting myself into. I'm like, don't worry. It's a friendly space. It's very safe. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about. And I'll be there to kind of keep the conversation within, you just sanitary bounds. So don't worry, you will not wander off too far beyond where you want, you feel uncomfortable. I'll make sure of that. I'll make sure you stay in the safe zone, and you're speaking appropriately, and you're saying only the things you want to say. And if for whatever reason, we go beyond the bounds, this is editable. We can come back and remove everything you don't want in there, and keep it as clean as possible. And but for me, what I find very strange about that whole interaction is, wow, do you mean to say that, like, it's communication and speech should be that complex? Like, that thing about coming to God, like, is it like a child? And it's like, why don't we want to do that? Like, it's very difficult when you're put on the spot. It's like, you mean the rules are not defined? It's like, you can get to make the rules. On one hand, I'm seeing the problem, like, you should be excited about this. You get to say what happens.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I can see how frustrating it can be, because it's easier to play a game whose rules are defined, and it's more challenging when now you have to make the game and then let people play it. Yeah. Yeah.
It's very, very interesting, because even as you are speaking, I'm thinking, in doing that, it's actually quite powerful. People do not necessarily see it that way, but it's quite powerful because what you're asking for is vulnerability.
Yeah.
You're asking someone, be vulnerable with me. And whether they like it or not, people don't want to be vulnerable. It's not a space that people want to go into very, very easily. And so in most cases, you find that when you meet people, you meet their representative. You don't meet the actual person. So, for example, in a job interview, someone takes time to prepare because so then they've got a rhythm. There's a game at play, but at least I've got my rules. I know the rules and I can play a certain way. However,
Yeah.
if by any chance you spot a part of me that is incompetent in any way, that is very vulnerable. It's a part of me I don't want you to see. So
Yeah.
yes, it's telling someone, oh, by the way, there is no script, there are no questions. You're just going to like, what if you talk about my grandmother who hurt me? So it's, it's
And it's fine, I
so yeah.
guess. Like, uh, and I guess
Mm,
it's all about the spirit in which you come into it. Um, this guy, I forget the name. Is it Daniel Schmachtenberger? He has a very long name. he's,
mm,
a,
mm, mm, mm,
he's one of those. I think he's an environmental evangelist, and he speaks about. He calls it the game A, game B. Revolution. Is it evolution of some sort? Like he's one of the people speaking towards what is going to happen in the next version of our civilization. So that's sort of like the language he uses. And him and
mm,
his crew,
mm,
they talk a lot about these kinds of things. And they, in a conversation he had with, I think, Jamie Wheel and Jordan Hall, they
mm,
speak about something they call the rule omega. And in their rule omega, they're trying to describe what needs to happen uh,
mm,
for a good conversation. And they're saying, uh, first, you need to be able to articulate back to the person what they said in a way that is agreeable to them, right? Like, and so it's like it's not just not parroting back, but
mm,
more
mm,
like,
mm,
okay, from whatever you said, I think this is what you're trying to say. Like if I'm really on your side and I'm really hearing you, this is what you're trying to say, and sort of like sense check it. And when you throw it
mm,
back to
mm,
them,
mm,
people are very happy to kind of like clean up, because like in whatever someone says,
mm,
there's like a bit of noise, and there's a real sense of what they're trying to say. And the real sense of what they're trying to say is smaller than the noise of trying to amplify it and articulate it. And so in the thing they give you, like 80% is noise, and there's the 20% like real solid stuff. So
mm, mm,
like
mm,
you, the listener, apparently it's your job to find that 20% and play it back to them in a way that's agreeable for them. And
mm,
I
mm,
think
mm,
another guy, Peterson, and what's his name? This Douglas guy, Douglas Murray. They
mm,
use the term steel manning. Yeah, it's like instead of straw
mm,
manning the other person's position, of like finding the
mm,
weakest
mm.
way to caricature it, you try and
Yeah.
find this. You make it stronger in such a way that
Mm,
when you give it back to them, they're like, actually, I was trying to say that, but you said it better. Now I'm going to take that version you've given me and use that, because it's like you've
mm,
read my
mm.
mind.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, so when you get someone to that point,
Mm,
the defenses naturally fall away, and then it's like it's no longer, because now they know you're an advocate.
mm,
You're no
mm,
longer an adversary. They don't need to protect themselves. So the vulnerability just happens, and then now they kind of like go to to play in the new game now. Because like if we're making this thing that I'm bringing stronger, yeah, sure, let's go.
Goodness,
Yeah,
goodness me.
yeah.
That is right, but it is right. But have you thought, because what I'm thinking about in everything you're saying is, first of all, the emotional, uh, the emotional maturity of the world today, the general emotional maturity. And
Oh,
so the thing you're saying is that, yes, because communication, and I think it highlights the importance of emotional maturity, of having emotional a good EQ, because it underpins someone's ability to communicate. Because most people communicate not to get something, but to simply to stay in blah 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 blah. And so
yeah.
if we can get people from a point of don't don't be too much involved in what you have to say, listen to others, and then on top of that, do not just listen, but look at the substance of everything they are saying. It does not only call for, goodness me, emotional maturity. It calls for a lot of social skills.
Yeah, yeah.
But quite right.
Yeah, because I describe
It's
it as trying to learn to listen with your heart rather than listening with your ears. Because I mean, listening with your
mm.
ears, you get stuck in the language, semantics, dynamics of like, oh no, but what when you use this word, what do you mean? The dictionary says this, and so defined it this way. But like, if we go away from all of that and go like, look,
Mm.
I think I should listen for the meaning that Gordon is trying to put across rather than be stuck in the words he's using. So like
Mm.
if I if I kind of like tune in a bit more into like, and try to resonate with what he's saying, what is he really saying?
Mm.
Let's put all this context together. It's okay. Where is Gordon? What is he doing? Why are we having this conversation? What seems to be his agenda? What is he trying to
Mm.
reach in me?
Mm.
And I put all
Yeah.
that in context, then I can know how you're using the words and what you're trying, the meaning you're trying to put across. And when I'm listening
Yeah.
with,
Yeah.
with that stance, then I get you. Then
Mm.
I'm just trying to get you, and I'm not getting stuck in, oh, you said this, you said that. I'm like, no, no, no. I think you mean this. This is what you're trying to
Mm.
point to. And so if I can work with you to get to the thing you're pointing to, then we're all winning. Yeah.
Indeed. Indeed. But
Yeah.
you see, my goodness, that takes intentionality.
Yeah.
It takes intentionality because how what happens to your own thoughts of what happens to your own insecurities during that time when you are because in that moment you're trying to say, I'm going to raise the value of this human being and I'm going to give them my full attention, and as such I'm going to just not listen, but tune my soul in tune with their soul, such that what is not said or what is said is actually how there is a symbiotic kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my goodness, that it's you are challenging people to go to a level that is but you see, this is how communication is supposed to be. How
Yeah.
is it meant to be effective if someone is not intentional at being fully present? Because that's what it takes, that
Yeah.
full
You,
presence.
yeah. And like you mentioned before, like it challenges all our social skills and puts you bare and kind of
Mm.
like, you have to like really, really be tuned in. It's no longer uh it's no longer performative. It's and it's no longer even just transactional. This is like
Mhm.
deep
Mm.
emotional stuff. Because like
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
now you're like really, really communing with the other person. Like it's not even
Hmm.
just
Exactly.
it has gone a level higher.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
and usually what I find is when you have those kinds of conversations, when you get that kind of experience, you don't want anything else.
Precisely. Precisely.
Yeah.
When you go to that level of, as you said, communing with another person's soul, that is what humanity is about. It
Yeah.
is, it is, it is because, but that's the word communication. Communication, it is communing. It is communing with somebody. And so our ability to connect, that's why I say, I actually, I connect with that guy or I connect with that girl. It is those souls coming together and
Yeah.
tying themselves in such a way. And because I remember back in the day, when I was still a bad boy, when I was still a bad boy, I had this very good friend of mine who was a girl at that time. But what was peculiar about that relationship is that we used to sit in a car and she used to play a song and I used to play a song. But during in the experience of the song, it was as if I was so in tune with her that I knew what she was thinking and saying. And all her emotions were bare to me and I could feel them and she could feel me. And that was peculiar, very peculiar. And but yes, because it takes me back to that, but that was communing. That was communication. So imagine if that was achieved on a non-verbal level, what would have been achieved on a verbal level?
See, and that's the thing, right? Because it goes to the next level, and I think this is for me. This is partly what inspired me to start the podcast. I'm like, no, I need this. Like, and what I found was you don't actually need to train it to anyone. You just have to offer it. Like, you just have to hold the space for that kind of conversation to happen, and it will happen every time. And like, it was so bizarre because I started to experiment this at children's birthday parties. Because, it's very noisy and kids are running everywhere. And I'm like, let me test this theory. Like, if I actually try this with like a 4-year-old and just go with them, like, what happens? And then, you sit there next to a 4-year-old and, you're sitting on the ground and you ask them, so, how are you? It's like, and they're telling you these problems about this toy and, how it had to fight with the other toy. And then now they're worried about candy and whether their parents will allow them to have a lollipop. And like, they
Yeah.
really lay their heart bare, and we keep going for like an hour, and I'm going like, wow, I know so much about this 4-year-old. Like, I've
Yeah.
really gone inside their world. And,
Yes.
and we're speaking, and I'm going like, wait, so if this can work on a 4-year-old, then definitely it works for everyone. And it's
Indeed.
all about taking yourself out of the way for a moment and allowing them to be.
Indeed. Indeed. But
Yeah.
that speaks to the fact that we as human beings are not are a communal species, so to speak. We are communal beings. It's what the good book says, that it is not good for man to be alone.
Yeah.
We always long for something deeper. We always long for each other, and not just long for each other, but long for each other in a way that is deep and comforting and meaningful and purposeful, and irrespective of those relationships, human beings, irrespective of their quirks, when someone is able to be vulnerable or able to be that in that state of I trust this individual, or I can actually open my heart up, that is the center of human
Yeah.
relationships. It is utterly the center of human relationships. And but everyone is actually looking for that. The people are willing to be vulnerable if you prove that you are a safe place for them to be vulnerable.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And as you said, if you offer it and you come up as, hey, I am a safe place, people will come and test you out. And as you said, a 4-year old, if because of their we are human beings, they perceive this is safe, this is not safe. And
Mm,
if they open themselves up like that, even an adult, in as much as they may take a bit of time, if they know you're a safe place, they do. I've seen a lot of that in my teaching career. You
mm,
see kids that and even adults, because my first experiences in education was with adults. And
mm.
what's ridiculous is that there is no distinction between younger students and older students. They
Yeah.
all behave the same.
Mm.
When they get into a class environment, even those, and what's I've observed this even in myself. I am a lecturer, I'm a teacher. But when I'm being taught, I become something else.
No, you become a student. You become a student.
Yes,
Yes.
precisely.
It's all about the role you are assigning and the role being assigned to you. I think
Mm, mm.
uh, when the game is defined and you know which role you're playing, uh, then sort of I think the role captures you,
Very much so.
and then you embody the role, and then now you have to do what the role. You know exactly the limits of this role. You know what to do, what not to say, how long to wait. Yeah,
Mm.
it's
Ah,
just part of the
goodness.
game.
It is, and but the and what I kind of see there is, uh, I think in many ways we have the ability as human beings to
Mm,
exhibit various personalities in various situations, depending on
yeah,
how what part of our soul is captured in that
yeah,
time. Because I
yeah,
think now thinking about it deeper is, I think we have different representatives for different environments,
yeah.
and that we call upon that representative at all times. But the the thing, and I think the thing that you're trying to achieve is to get to the core of what is the center of all these personalities.
Yes, yes. You know, there's that article series I shared with you, which I titled "The Village of the Me's,"
Mm,
and in the metaphor, I'm playing with the idea that you have, like you said, there's many parts of yourself, like many versions of yourself that are called forth by the scenario in which you're
mm,
being forced to participate, and so all these aspects of your personality all actually still live within you, and it's like a little village in there, and every
yeah.
now and then there's like some negotiation going on. Say, I found that guy, he's talking to himself. It's like, yes, this is a village that lives inside the guy, right? Like he has to sort it out, he has to manage it, and we may not you know think of it that way, but this is how we go about, because like the world presents itself to you, and then it's like, okay, now I have to
Mm,
map myself on it. Okay, so I'm is this how I should show up? And they'll use these examples. Like in Vaveki's work, he gives examples like the person you are being when you're swimming is
mm,
a very different person you're being from when you're driving. Like you're completely different people, but they all are in you, and you have to be them. You have to maintain that that flexibility to allow yourself to map. I guess like that's what they call the general intellect, like the general intelligence, and which
mm,
the AI people are trying to achieve. But uh, yeah, I think for me, like that makes a lot of sense. Like you're a collective. You're not just an individual.
it does make a lot of sense. But when I think about it more, I think in many ways, I don't know if it's advantageous,
Mm. In
because
what way?
because I think in many ways it might lead to multiple personality disorder. Have you watched Glass,
Yeah,
James McAvoy?
yeah, yeah.
It's
I think I did. Yeah.
That is precisely what it is. It is
Yeah.
because if you stay so long in Clayton 1.0 and then Clayton 2.0 is because 1.0 shows up at work, you see that, and then 2.0 shows up at home. You see that, but then what happens when you don't have when you have incomplete work? 1.0 is going to show up in a place where he's not supposed to show up, and then he's going to conflict because your dear wife is used to 1.0. It's like, what's happening? Do you see that?
No, I
And
see that.
so
I see that.
yes, because and I see it a lot in society today because most when you're able to read deeper than what people say, you're able to understand how mature people are within. And
Mm,
we run into offices. You go into an executive's office, you go into a particular person's office, and they speak to you, and you meet someone that's like, yeah, this is quite. But then when you meet them in their sort of, first when you capture their soul, you come to the understanding this person is extremely functions at the emotional wavelength of a 3-year-old.
mm.
And so
Yeah.
in the office, they are composed and they professional, they think, but then when they're at home, they are lazy. They are,
Mm.
did you see that? It's as if different abilities are, it's, that's very, my goodness, yeah. Because
Yeah,
when you
no,
work from, a single personality, please do continue.
no, sorry. You first finish your thought. Sorry.
It's, and I think that's, we have not thought about it, but
Mm,
our ability to morph, to sort of chameleonize ourselves
mm,
depending on situations. And I think that's the reason for even today, because
mm.
today more than ever, there has been a requirement for people to be many things at the same time. Because we live in a
Yeah,
global community, cultures are exchanged continually. You have to find a way to sort of fit people into your culture. And
yeah,
so the
yeah,
requirement for you to be different people at the same time is there. However,
yeah.
I think then people's souls get fragmented. They get
Mm,
broken up into little pieces, and then
mm,
it's that and that. But however, if someone then works as a single whole, in the sense that this person is patient, this person is kind, this is their character, and
mm.
irrespective of the situation you bring them, they can actually work within themselves to bring either patience, kindness, goodness. You see, it's different
Yeah,
shields, but of the same personality. Do you see
yeah,
that? Yeah. So
yeah.
that's why, someone is like, oh, I cannot believe my boss beat up his wife. He's a really good guy in the office. And then but his 2.0 is at home.
No, I think I see where the challenge is. Though I feel
Mm,
the, w- as you'd say, how can I say, as persons, like we're being
mm,
called to that higher goal, to that higher objective where we're meant to uh, be able to do all of that, but then do it holistically and do it harmoniously. It's like harmoniously adjust yourself to the need that is presenting itself to you
mm,
and address it and still remain whole. don't don't let the need how can I say subjugate you, right?
mm, mm,
So
mm, mm,
find a way to deal with the need
mm,
while remaining whole, and yeah, which then becomes a very uh different proposition because uh like with my children, I'll you give an instructions like, hey, did you clean your room? Like, let's say it's a regular day, they have to get up, prepare
mm,
themselves, pack their lunchbox, go to school. They have to do all of this, right?
mm, mm.
And because they're children, they need to be supervised and reminded because they at
Yeah.
some point they fall off, right?
Yeah.
And you kind of like give them 30 minutes to see, okay, will they observe what they need to do? And then 30 minutes, no, nothing has happened. Hey guys,
Mm,
uh, get yourselves ready,
yeah.
You should the instantiation. And I was like, okay, we know what get yourself ready means. Okay. and now I'll even ask them, so you've taken the command to get yourself ready. What does that mean to you? Because like, oh, it means I need to do whatever has to happen for me to go out of my pajamas and present myself as a student in my school uniform. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
bingo, you got it. Cool, go to work.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And then, but then halfway, you check in on them, and then it's like you're putting on your school uniform shorts, but you're still in a pajama top. What's going on? And then they'll kind of go like, oh, I was doing that, but then this other thing happened, and I don't know how I did not continue, right? Sorry. But then it's like, okay, for them as children, you as the parent, you understand what happens. Like, oh, no. So they got distracted. I have to manually reconnect this harmony of the task that was being executed so that they can
Yes.
continue, right? I have to get them back on
Yes.
track, right? And in the process, hopefully they will get to a point whereby they see you do this for them, and then there's, oh no, in that situation where I get lost, that's when, let's say, my dad comes and helps me. Now I have to ask myself, wait, now I'm lost. What would dad do? Or dad would kind of like come
Yeah.
and, ask me these things, and then I would remember where I need to be, then I'd continue, right? And so
Yeah.
at some point, they have to embody what I have been doing for themselves to kind of like call on me even when I'm not there, to help them even when I'm not there, right? Like
Exactly.
to sort of like ingest a piece of my spirit into them, such that even when I'm not there, I'm there. But this is a long training. This is, I guess this is why it takes a life to raise a child, right? Like you have to do this again and again with great care and preserve the person that they are. Cause like you don't want it confused. Cause like, Delvin goes on and calls his sister a liar because she said something true. And we're like, dude, hang on. Now, we can't label all of her as a liar, right? Like, okay, she said something that was untrue. Okay. Maybe by your standards, you're saying that's a lie. I'm willing to accept that. But for you to call her a liar, it means the only thing she does in her entire life is tell untrue things.
Yes.
Do you agree with that proposition? And he was like, well, no, because, this time she tells things which are true, then we play here, then she's nice like this. And so maybe I'm a bit off. I've exaggerated. I'm like, yeah, you don't need to separate. Like, your sister is a good person, right? Like, because they're aiming for the good. They're really trying to do the good. Now, they're not perfect. They will make mistakes. But it's your job to not let the mistake cloud your understanding of them such that you now think they are only the mistake. You still have to see all the good that they are and all the good they could be all at once. It's a much bigger job. Right?
It is a much bigger job.
And then you'll say, it's not fair. It's not fair.
And it's and from what you're doing to what you're trying to call out from your little ones is you're trying to call out responsibility. You're trying to call out character. You're trying to call out those things that you see they should become. And in many ways, at this age, it is something that must be taught. It should be taught. But remember, and this speaks not only to just the situation with you and your children, but to the entirety of human development.
Yeah.
Human development. And so not just at the physical level alone, but the physical, at the soul level, but also at the spiritual level. Because any arrested development at those levels will affect the functionality of the person.
Yeah.
I say functionality as though I'm talking about a system. it will affect that thing, because what you're trying to do right now, what you're trying to build in your little ones, you're trying to build identity. You're trying to build, and most people think that identity is just people saying, oh, I am black, I am this. It's identity is a lot bigger than someone's skin color. It's something so profoundly built within that someone can actually live in a given environment but behave from a different place. So it's identity is just a different thing altogether. But you see, when you consider human development and the need for human beings to develop holistically, and this is the thing you are saying, how can we do that holistically to the point whereby I am not doing it out of performative requirement, but I am doing it because it's who I am. So, but then that means that someone has got to be intelligent enough, so IQ, intelligent enough for them to actually think, to make sense of what's happening around them to that level, but also emotionally intelligent enough, so EQ, to actually say, how can I be patient? What aspect of myself, what aspect of my character, is it patience, is it kindness? What does this individual need in order for them to feel valued? Yes. So that, so they have to be able to think, but also to feel that way, and also be able to then block out what their requirement and desire is in that moment, to then elevate this person and say, what is it that you require?
Yeah.
So in many ways, it calls for holistic, complete holistic development. So a person that not only grows well in the body, but they are able to grow well in their mind, in their will, and in their emotions. I think that is, it is profound, because if you cannot get to that level, because at the little one's age, you cannot expect them to have matured, but at someone at 18, you would expect them to then exhibit that kind of responsibility, because you're not going to go to an 18-year-old's place and say, oh, have you put on your uniform? You put on the bottom and the you know. Yes, but because you don't require that, because that's responsibility, because you don't require that in the physical from someone, then it should be that at 18, we should then require someone to be able to be emotional in a certain way, not to react or behave like a 3-year-old emotionally, because that's what we get. Anyway, yes, I think that's rabbit hole. Yes.
No, that's so astute, because and as you're describing that, it reminded me of I think it's Viveki's characterization of the rise of Jesus to power. That's how he sort of that's my interpretation of it. Anyways,
Yes,
because he makes this case that the time when Jesus goes on his mission, it's sort of like it's during the Roman Empire times, and they have perfected this Greek republic, the one that Plato proposed, and they have structured it so well that they're actually practicing it almost to perfection, where you have your citizens inside the city, and then you have your outskirts where everybody has been kicked out. And what does Jesus do? He goes to the outskirts and he goes like, actually, these people, there's nothing wrong with them. You guys are just kicking them out, but there's nothing wrong with them. All I have to do is come and give them a piece of my soul, and that should start that transformation. And then they can actually unravel from whatever it is that they're stuck with, and be as good as the citizens that you guys are calling the refined people. And so, it's like if Jesus was a scientist, right, and he's writing his research proposal and he's going at it in this way, this is probably what he could have done, right? and so, apparently he sets to work, and he does the whole agape love, like the agape clive of no, look, Gordon, you're a fisherman. Okay, what do you like to do? Catching fish. Well, let's go catch fish, and
Mm,
I'm going to unlock your fishing technology such
mm.
that you will you will reach the end of this fishing career as fast as possible. And then I can take you to something else.
Exactly.
Move you
I'm going
on.
to show you the end of that. Yes.
Yeah. And so he starts to do
Mm,
this, and he starts to do this. And of course, like the knock-on effect is the movement rising up, and 2000 years later, plus we're still talking about the guy, right? And so, but the thing he
mm,
points out is like this whole, like Jesus' hack, if you're to call it the hack, was to give a piece of his personhood to these guys
mm,
such that they could imbue it, and it sort of like transforms them, and then they can keep passing it on along. Because like once you've
mm, mm.
experienced it, it's not something you want to keep a secret. It's something you want to
Yes,
pass on.
yes,
It's
yes.
such a good thing. Hence,
Mm,
the good
hmm.
news and the
Yes.
evangelism, and
Mm.
it makes sense. Right? And so it's like,
Indeed.
we need to live that way. Like in times like, where fake news, you don't no longer know what the truth is, people are killing each other, the wars. And, what we really need is more of that love, more of that agape, that more giving of ourselves. And I think
Mm,
it's
mm,
like,
mm,
if we start to practice that,
mm, mm,
then,
mm.
who knows? Maybe the world could be healed. I don't know. Like
Yeah.
maybe I'm over.
It's, it's, but the thing is this: you are articulating what other people are behaving, because you can see even in marriages, in any relationship, at the depth and at the core of any relationship, what people want is the soul of another.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be that a marriage, someone would say, I don't care how much money you bring, I want your time.
Mhm.
Do you see that?
Yeah.
Be that children, I don't care, how many gifts you buy me, I want you to drive me to school, I want you to spend some
Yeah.
time with me. Do you see that? Be that a mother, be that any relationship, uh, people are desiring a piece of others, but
Mhm.
have I've been unable to articulate that, oh, by the way,
Mhm.
what I need, in as much as I think that I'm, independent this, independent that, in as much as I think that, I actually have a desire for other people. I go and just,
Wow.
cry alone in my bed in my independence. Did you see that? Yeah, precisely. So it is precisely what we need for people to realize, oh, by the way, you know what? No man, the old people were right in saying no man can live as an island. It is
Yeah.
practically impossible. And if we're all intentional about giving a piece of each other to other people, the world would be a
Mhm.
better place. And I
Yeah.
think I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and I was saying to her, love is is not what precisely has been described in conventional culture. Love is merely an act of associating value.
Mhm.
It is merely an act of saying, I value you. Because I could say I love my car, I love my this, I love my mom, I love my brothers. But there is a different attribution of value to each and every. You see that? I love everything,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I attribute
Mhm.
it. So when someone says I love someone, it is more like saying I value this person. But what is the
Mhm.
actuality of love in
Mhm.
character? And we were
Mhm.
leaning toward what they call the things like goodness, the fruits of the Holy Spirit, goodness,
Mhm.
kindness, self-control, these things. And we
Mhm.
were saying that because the big man is love, the outworking in character of what love should be. Because if I say I love a woman or I love this person, in other words, what
Mhm.
I'm telling that person is, I'm going to be patient with you, I'm going to be kind with you, I'm going to be good with you, I'm going to be self-controlled with you. Do you see that? So it is But how can you do that? In order for you to say, I'm going to be patient, I'm going to be kind, I'm going to be good to you, you must have attributed a value to that person.
Yeah.
Because all those things, patience, goodness, kindness, self-control, they take away from yourself.
Yes.
Yes. So patience takes away from you. Goodness takes away from you. So that is the bit of the soul that you give away. Because it is transactional, but it is transactional to a sense that I am going to lower my lower my value because of yourself, and give you time to. I'm going to listen to you, and irrespective of how I feel, in that sense, you hold the person higher than yourself, and
Yes.
So
No, you're spot on. You're spot on. In a recent conversation I think was it DC Schindler or someone uh, defined love as valuing, or attributing higher value to someone other than yourself. It's like if you can do that, then you are capable of love. And so it changes the whole dynamic, because it's very sacrificial. It's like say you have to give the care, you have all these things, the patience, like it's all outward facing from you. It's not about you. It's about the other. And I guess we live in times which are very, very challenging in a very interesting way, because back before all the technological advancements, this was easy. Like you had no technological systems to fall back on. There was no infrastructure to fall back on. So all you had were your people and the tribe where you are, right? That was your fallback plan. So it was easy. Like you knew not to challenge the system. You just had to conform and work with it,
Yes.
which was okay. But now, technological advancements have risen to the point whereby, like, yeah, look, you could do that, but you now have to choose to do it. Now, especially like if you live in some of these a bit, countries with a bit more advanced systems, like a bit better organized, you have to be very intentional to try and seek the human connection and work on those relationships, because you don't need to, right? Like, yeah, in Uganda, we do this thing whereby you have a guy for a thing, right? It's like, oh, I have my brother guy.
Yes.
What do you need? No, an electrician. I'll send you my guy, right? Well, you need a builder. I have a builder. I'll
I
send you
have
my
a guy.
builder.
Yeah.
I have a guy. Like, you always have a guy,
Yes.
and we trade our guys. So if I love you, then I will share my collection of guys with
The
you,
guy. Yeah.
and
I'll send you my
and
border
then you will
guy.
test.
Yes.
Then you'll test them out for me, and if they are not up to standard, and you have a better offer, you'll be like, you know what, this border guy of yours, no, I found him lacking. He's my
Exactly.
one. Use this
Exactly.
one now, right? And so we curate our guy lists,
Yes.
kind of like that's how we practice. But in these, you'd say
Yes.
more advanced societies, it's like you no longer need a guy. It's like you have a company like Uber. It's like, okay, Uber curates the guys. No, I just have to trust that they're giving me the right guys, right? And you keep going with it.
Yes.
But the challenge it presents in in these Western, advanced societies, it's like, now I no longer have the excuse of needing a guy to come and interact with you, Gordon. Now I have to come and interact with you, Gordon, just for Gordon. And now it's like the value you spoke about. Now I have to attribute value to you. It's like I was using the guys before, but kind of like do the valuation. But now we've lost that model. Now I have to evaluate you for who you are. And it becomes quite a challenge, because I don't think we know how to do that. I don't think we're good at doing that. We know what good feels like, but we don't know how to track it. And so we sort of hesitate. And so you kind of like,
Mm.
try a little bit from a distance with a hesitation,
Mm.
and the moment it backfires or you run into some sort of like breakdowns, I knew it would not work. I would knew it would not, I'm going away, stop it.
Yes.
Instead of being encouraged to try again, you just stop and you
Mm.
cower.
Mm.
and and for me, I find that quite fascinating. Like in these times, I'm going like, we should be more courageous.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's for me, and even as you're speaking, I'm thinking we have a bigger problem than we thought. Because it's only now I'm coming to the realization that people are less loving than they need to be. And
Yeah.
because going back to even our earlier point, communication, and that the effectiveness of that comes out of attributing value to another person.
Mm.
So, in other words, your ability to communicate is affected by your ability to love. And can you imagine a society where people are not intentional about love? They're not intentional about raising other people's value. And that is predominantly the society we live in. People, not saying people don't value people, but people are not intentional upon
Yeah.
saying, I am going to go out and value these people and actually be patient, be kind, be, all these attributions that we say we want from love. And so,
Mhm.
because of the waxing cold of people's hearts, then you find that it is then responsible for the lack of communication. And if you cannot communicate, you cannot commune. So you find that
Yeah.
wives are unable to speak to their husbands, husbands are unable to speak to their wives, children unable to, it's a society where, and I think that comes from the fact that we have lost definition.
Mm.
We have lost definition of, for example, what does it mean to be human? What does it mean
Yeah.
to love? If we started from those things, the things that and love is challenging because it requires, as you said, sacrifice. It requires
Yeah.
sacrifice. Love is not for the weak, for the faint of heart. It is not for the faint of heart. It is one of those things that is good, but it also consumes you. You give it, but it takes. It just feels as though it's love is death. If someone is unwilling to die to themselves, if you're unwilling to to put your importance to even the lowest and raise the
Yeah.
other people that you're meant to love, that's why fathers are then becoming ineffective, because then they're not able to raise their children up to their importance or their wives up to their importance. This is why presidents are failing, because
Yeah.
they have not attributed value to people. And when someone says, oh, by the way, I love Uganda or I love Africa, you cannot love, Uganda or Kenya or Africa without loving people. You can't love land. You see that? And so even, even in the definition, because it's even in the definition, when we,
Mm.
even the things to do with service, even our effectiveness, human effectiveness comes out of that ability to be able to allocate value to other people. When we
Yeah.
do that, we are more effective, because then when, for example, if I'm cooking for you or preparing a cup of tea for you, because of the amount of value I attribute to you, there is a way I'll make that tea.
Yeah.
I won't be laissez-faire about it. And I think that's
Mm.
where even relationships fail, because at a certain point when someone looks great, you attribute value. And when someone then looks, that shows the standard of measure that we've come up with. We attribute value on certain things, and then after that, a while, yeah, you know what? You've grown big. I'm no longer going to attribute as much value. Mrs. Thin is the future. So, but
No,
it's
no, it
yeah.
shouldn't be. But I think this goes back to the soul, like we were speaking
Mhm.
earlier, and I think today I was listening to a conversation. I think it was Annie someone and Jordan Hall. They were talking about the
Mm,
education system, and
mm,
uh, this lady, I think she's a teacher, and she tries to describe what education is, and in her
mm,
definition, she articulates it's sort of like soul cultivation. It's like you have to cultivate the soul of these persons, and with the goal of making them wholesome, like wholesome persons. And they go on to talk about that, and I'm going like, wow, that's a much bigger job, right? Like it's not just about
Mhm.
information sharing
Yeah.
and validating whether these people can, pass tests
Mm.
and stuff. It's like really, really digging deep and going like, how do you build a good person? And this is the much, much bigger challenge. And I don't know how for me it diverted down to the rabbit hole of souls, but in listening to it more, like
Mm.
I really now understood.
Mm.
Uh, you'd say a bit much more about what a soul is, because it it's really a community, and it emerges. You don't give yourself your soul. Your soul is given to you, and part of what is part of what's giving you your soul
Mm.
is the community that is raising you. Because like the guys have spoken about this, and scientists have, they always call it as an impossibility. Like, tell me a person who grew up without other people. They don't exist. Why? Because
Mm.
like
Mm. Mm.
this is just not how the human race works. Like we grow each other.
Mm. Mm.
It's
Mm.
like
Mm. Mm.
right from when you're a baby, yeah, there's a
Mm.
community of people around you trying to
Yeah.
shape your soul, and
Mm.
y- it starts to take its shape based off
Mm.
whatever is around it, and then at some point you take ownership of your soul. You develop yourself, and then you start going around trying to also shape other souls, and you keep polishing it up until
Mm. Mm.
wherever you get to. But because of the complexity of it, I guess, like how the experience of it is so challenging, it
Mm.
at some point we forget that, like, this whole soul thing, it's not just it's like we don't own our souls. Like, no, they're not ours. They're given to us. And yes, we sort of like embody them, and we participate in them, and
Mm.
participate with them, and then at some point they move on, but they're not they're not things. They're not
Mm.
things that we
Mm.
can bottle up.
Mm.
There was an old joke in Uganda where they said that they could put someone's spirit in a bottle. It's like, I don't know, like, sounds like a fancy idea, but no, no, that maybe a spirit, but I don't know about the soul, because like that's next level, right? Because it's very it's very communal.
Mm.
It's given to you, and you steward it, and because that's why we care. That, like, if you like really see it that way, the job of loving sort of becomes apparent. You can now then see how much more work you need to invest, because it's it's way beyond. It's above and beyond all
Mm.
these petty things, Mrs. Thin and and all of this. It's kind of like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's if you
Mm.
are kind of like seeing it that way, then maybe you need to look a bit deeper.
Mm. Mm. Indeed,
Yeah.
it's and for me this is something there's something I thought about a long time ago, and it's sort of come
Mm,
back to me while you're saying this. You see, we are the measure of each other.
mm,
For example, another I am myself because there's another human being there. Because I cannot, if I measure myself in silence, it's not a true measure. It's not objective. But for
mm,
example, if I'm to say who is Gordon, Gordon is patient. Gordon is kind. Gordon is this. I am all those things because of how I relate with other people. Do you see that? Even the way
mm,
we say this person is this, we are saying that out of measurement.
Mm-hmm.
You see that? That person, who is Gordon? Gordon is selfish. It is, do you see that? So your character is actually tied with how, to other people. We are the measure of each other. So
Wow.
our humanity is not meant for us. You see, our humanity is measured by how human we are to other people. Did you see that? And so
Wow.
I cannot say I am humble if I am proud with you. So how I treat you then informs me about who I am.
Yeah.
You see,
Yeah.
so anyone coming out of saying, "Oh, I am this, I've done a measure," if you treat people opposite to what you say you are how you treat people you are.
Yeah.
I think it goes back to that whole, actions are words are what? Goodness, I've forgotten.
Louder.
Yes,
Actions are louder than words. Yeah.
precisely.
Yeah.
And it's we prove each other, but in also going back to that point of education that you made earlier, and you said education is meant to introduce you. I was thinking about that many years ago because education is quite dear to my heart. And asking myself, what is education? What is education? And I couldn't come to the answer of what education is, but I came to the answer of what education should do. And I believe that education should introduce you to yourself.
Wow.
Do you see that?
Same.
Education should
Please say more.
It should introduce you to yourself. So, because children come into this world without knowledge of what is culture, what is a man, what is a woman, who am I? Those are the questions that even at a young age we are asking without even knowing, who am I? And that is the question that everyone asks at a fundamental level, who am I? If we are able to answer questions of identity, I don't think we'll have problems. So, for example, we people most days people say, "Who are? Oh, by the way, what are you?" I'm an engineer. People are identifying as their education. Do you see that? But you find that your engineering is actually not going to help you, in certain situations. When you leave the office and 1.0 is gone and 2.0 is here, your engineering is not there. You see that? And so you find that for an education system to be effective, it must look at the holistic person. It must look at the holistic person, right? Who is this individual? What are they good at? How can we structure them to actually be valuable to the community? Not to look like a certain thing, but it is because humanity is a gift. If you get that gift and then you say this person is meant to be like this person, and you don't promote the individuality, you're losing value. Because if you're saying a Toyota Corolla should be the same as a massive lorry, they are all cars, but they've got different purposes. Do you see that? All cars, different purposes, and all quite useful. And that's the same thing with human beings. With the complexity in identity and the spectrum of how we look. There is no one like any individual, human being that has. So our uniqueness is actually what makes and what should actually drive the world. But then what education does today is that it gives us a one mold fits all kind of approach. In the sense that if someone requires to learn science, everyone requires to learn science. You see that? If everyone needs to learn this, everyone learns it. However, in that sense, they have not created a system that works around who people are and how best we can work around where they are to take them to where they are going. And I think that comes from the intentionality of saying, I want, from actually government coming from the perspective of, I want the best for this person. What can I do for this person? And then that comes with the intentionality of creating a system that works with the body, that works with the soul, which is the mind, the will, and the emotions. Because we develop the mind, that is the accumulation of knowledge, but we don't develop emotions. so things such as emotional abuse are very, very prevalent because the entire individual is not looked at. Can you imagine an education system that looks at the physical and says, right, how are we going to get this person's mind? What is up with this person's emotions? How are we going to make sure that it makes the right decisions? You see that? So for me, education is the result, what remains after you leave school. It's what remains. So for me, a good education system must be able to introduce you to who you are. And that highlights that teachers cannot work independently because, then identity comes in. Teachers, parents, you see that all of them are geared towards bringing value out of this person. And the best way to bring value out of that person is to cultivate their identity.
Yeah. You're very spot on with that. And I think that is the challenge. But it's such a very high task. It's such a big ask because then, wow. Because now I'm trying to imagine. It's like, I guess, like I have some friends who, like they opt to homeschool their children, and with your description, I think I can see why that definitely makes sense. Because like at some point, I'm going like, no, I wouldn't choose to do that because I need the diversity of the school environment. Because that's at least a sample that represents the whole world. The world is a diverse place. But on the other hand, there is no certainty that someone is that caring, cultivate that soul, right? And so it's tricky. Like if you know that this is what must happen, you can see why you would want to protect and go like, you know what?
Exactly.
Now, I think I'm the person for the job, right? Like I have to do this. Like I can't trust anyone with. I mean, they're my beloved. Who else should I let them touch them? No, I can't. So it makes sense. Yeah. Wow.
Very much so. And as you say, did I cut you short?
No. Please go ahead.
Yes, and as you say, even that instance of homeschooling, when you take a child to school, and irrespective of how much a teacher cares, in order for the child to feel valued, there has to be a personal experience. You see that? Because not everyone is going to feel valued in a collective environment. That's why the need for smaller classrooms is there, because to be able to give that piece of your soul to a person, you must be able to capture their soul.
Yes.
Do you see that? Because you can't always be Martin Luther King. I have a dream in front of the class, you cannot always be. So in order to give that personalized approach, but and even because children are children, they have little desires, they have big desires, and they want to voice these things out. But in a school environment, what we're trying to say is that, right, keep quiet at this time, okay? Don't say anything. And so we're trying to mold them a certain way. And if they don't mold that way, what if their personalities are not really fitting in that sense? Why are we of the assumption that they must fit in that environment? We are assuming that diversity is excellence, or that the development of, or that the belief that exposing children to a great, group of children earlier is in one way or another going to contribute. We went to boarding schools. How many people do you know went to boarding schools that have very bad social, very bad social skills?
So many. So many.
I think what parents then and teachers need to then focus on is, yes, develop social skills. That's important, but develop the individual, because out of the source of that, because that is the outworking, that is the center of everything. Out of that, if it's a good individual, then they will be able to love and lift up other people. Do you see that? If that is the education
Yeah.
the person gets, and it's an education that introduces them to a good person, and that is who they are, we'll have no problem. But yes,
Yeah.
it's
But it's a big ask. I mean, like if you as someone who's worked in the education system, you would hear the complaints already. Like in the background, I'm hearing them already. It's like, oh, but how do you even assess that? Like it's
Mm,
when am I going to do my life? Like I'm I'm
mm.
I'm not paid enough to do that, right? Like I can already hear the protests.
Yeah.
but but I don't think it's about the protests.
It's
Like I like
you see, and the teachers are right to protest. In the real sense,
yeah.
teachers are not paid enough, and they're not valued
Mm,
enough for the job that they're being asked to do. I am a teacher.
mm,
I was a teacher.
mm.
I know what it means to pour your heart and soul into children and parents that utterly disrespect and tear your soul to pieces. It's not easy, because what we're asking teachers to do is develop the next generation. Give us good people. We are going to give you these molds, turn them into great people. You see that? Their parents have failed to turn them into great people, but it's your job to turn these, whatever that their parents have actually failed, that we should actually turn them into great people. Do you see that? The job on teachers'
Yeah.
hands is it's immense. They are the factory that produce the next
No, but
generation. Mhm. Go ahead.
on top of that, they have to do that while these children are still living with these parents of theirs who are undoing the work that is in progress. So it's an impossible
Honestly,
task.
it is. It is. And it requires a lot of depth. You must have reserves of strength and energy. And I think not many people would be teachers if people had money. I don't think people would be. I think if the entire world was rich, not many people would choose to be teachers, because
Mm,
teaching is not just merely meeting someone and just giving them information and let them putting them in their head. It is dealing with the holistic human being, and that's another beast altogether.
yeah. Yeah.
Goodness me. So yeah, teachers. But going back to that, yes, uh, and I don't blame teachers for what we have today. I think what
Mm,
the entire system, anyway, you know what, let me not go there. I'm not too much, let me not go there. What I'm saying is the system has not been designed to be so individualistic. You see
mm.
that? In the sense that it's not designed for the benefit of the individual person, and yeah, that's
Yeah.
where you get the problems from. But if governments, if the powers that be, as people, if governments around the world looked at how can we make our citizen better, and when you ask that question, you're asking every individual, how can I make this person better, that person
Yeah.
better? And so when you ask that question, then you begin building things that are individualistic around that. I think we would
Mm,
solve, for even education, we would solve a lot for that.
yeah. I think so too. I think if it's very uh, personalized and very targeted to the individual with the intention of like really uh, building that character and allowing it to flourish and fully manifest
Mm.
in all its glory, I think the tactic and approach we'd be taking is going to be very, very, very different from what the current education system looks like. Uh,
Mm. Mm.
but the challenge though is I wonder if how scalable that could be, because I guess like part of this is going to now become, it's not it's like it's a multi-pronged approach. Like you're going to require everyone to be part of this mission,
Mm.
uh
Mm.
because I
Mm.
mean, like, the job at stake, like the thing at stake is the next generation, right? Like
Yeah.
if we care about that next generation, we are
Mm.
all going to have to invest.
Mm.
And now that I think about it, I guess like maybe some of these cultic communities, this is the thing they're trying to solve for. Because in a way, like they're trying to safeguard their culture and sort of like ensure that this way of life makes it to the next round, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
And of course, to the best of their wisdom, maybe they believe this is the ultimate, like this is the best way. I don't know. Like, what do you think of that?
The scalability of the idea, and as you
Yeah.
say, I think the idea is scalable, but is it scalable in a global village? That is the question. I think in itself it is scalable. It is scalable,
Yeah.
let's say, on a family level. Saying, right, parents, this is how you should value your children. When you begin at that family, right, say telling parents this is how you should value your children, then that would spread in that sense.
Yeah.
Because if you then build, but when you then look at it from considering the societal forces that are around us, you then ask questions. What is my culture? Because remember, the soul, as you said, it comes from different, this and that.
Yeah.
What is so what should we preserve? What am I becoming? Do you see that? And then it goes back to that thing that education is introducing you to yourself. And so then parents, that's why you're saying cults. They're like, no, I don't like what this person is becoming. So we are going to then create a wall around, preserving this kind of thing. But for me, I think the scalability of it requires intentionality. Because looking at countries, let's say you see the UK and even the US, in many ways they've had things such as the Equality Act, non-discrimination regulation and the like. Or even Australia, they've had non-discrimination regulation for a very, very long time. And that is the law. It is the requirement of the government to actually for people to treat people fairly, which is right, which is fair. However, that is merely a requirement. The law does not change the hearts of people. So you could actually, even in any African country, let's say Uganda for now, you could say, teachers, I'm going to require you to take care of children in a specific way. And people will do it, performatively, yes, but they will not put their heart and souls into it. Why? Because that's what the law requires. So, for example, if the law requires someone not to discriminate against another individual, does it mean that in the real sense they value that individual? No, I'm going to simply talk to you because if I don't talk to you, I'm going to be an East. You see that? If I don't talk to you, I'm going, I'm going, yes. So the law has required performative change without heart change. Do you see that? Because laws don't change societies. They don't.
No.
They do not change societies. It is hearts that change societies. When you're able to capture the hearts of people, then they can follow the law. Why? Because it is within them. I think that's why the good book says, I shall write my laws in your hearts. Because then it becomes outworking. It becomes you. You are no longer...
It becomes part of the character.
Exactly. You no longer need to follow the law. Why? Because it's just within you. It's, you naturally care and value children, and as such, you're going to treat them, in this kind of manner.
Yeah. But how do you change hearts?
Mr. Clayton, what do you want to do to me today?
We shall sleep here.
How do you... that's another topic for another day. Because how do you... Oh, my goodness. Goodness me. Wow. How do you change hearts? Do you want us to go into that rabbit hole?
That sounds like a next time opportunity. It's like that.
We could scour the meat. Just what is it called? The top layer, the cream.
Okay.
Mm,
and then pack it. Because
mm.
this sounds it's going to be a series now.
Oh, trust me,
How
it's
do you
going to go
change
into a
hearts?
series.
Part one.
Honestly, how do you change hearts? Part one. Hmm. Let's give them 0.1. 0.1.
Okay.
How do you change hearts?
Okay.
0.1. How do you change hearts? Goodness me. And for me, I think for hearts to be changed,
Mm,
and I don't want to simplify this and say I've got the answer, because it
mm,
is simply coming out of just me thinking now. I think hearts change when hearts realize either value in themselves or value
mm.
in others.
Yeah.
Because people either apologize when they realize, oh, that thing is valuable and I've done something that is less than its value.
Mm,
And uh, so, and also if someone says, oh, by the way, I'm going to change the way I treat myself because I'm more valuable than that.
mm,
So
mm,
I think in many ways, heart transformation comes out of the realization of truth around
mm,
who we are and what we are. When
mm,
and of course hearts can still be transformed by lies, but if you want to change hearts for impact, for transformation, for positive
in a positive
transformation,
direction. Yeah.
yes, people must know the truth. And actually, because things such as purpose, that is truth, if purpose is not
Mm,
true, then it cannot enthuse people. You
yeah.
see that? So I think going back, heart transformation goes back to definitions, defining what is a human being, what is a man, what is a woman, and
Mm,
what is the value of these things. And
yeah.
what is yeah. So because transformation of hearts, there's a lot of, anyway, we shall go into another thing altogether.
No, no. This is. I think you're very spot on, though. Like, and how you bring it back to the definition. I think that's for me. What that speaks of is like, do like is there knowledge of of the character of the entity that I am, right?
Mm-hmm,
And it's
mm-hmm,
which links back to the education, right? Like, do I know who I am? That identity
mm-hmm,
piece, right? Like,
mm-hmm,
because like once I'm grounded in that knowledge of who I am, then that alone is a guide enough. It sort of like presents the experience of the world to me already with all the necessary filtrations done. Because now I it tells me how to engage with what I'm looking at because I know what I'm bringing, right? Like how I'm showing up. But
mm-hmm,
without that, it's it's a very, very slippery slope. And trust me, like you don't want, like I've experienced this with a few friends whereby,
mm-hmm,
like to give a small anecdote, I have this friend who wakes up one day and she messages me. It's like, "Hey, Clayton, my good friend, you know what? I, I think, I think I'm gay." I'm like, okay, great. Congratulations. How did you find out? It's like, oh, I have this housemate who's renting a room in my house, and they have been observing me. And yesterday they told me
mm-hmm,
that I am. I'm like, okay, very interesting.
mm-hmm,
You now, how do you know that you are? Okay, like you now know what they said, right? Like they told you what
mm-hmm,
they saw. Like, you're coming across with girl-like behavior. Great. I get
mm-hmm,
that. Now, how do you know how do you verify what they said? It's like,
mm-hmm,
I don't know. I believe them. Like, yeah, but you tenant.
mm-hmm.
You don't even have, like, how much time have they known you
Yes.
for them to give you credible information that you can now? reliably say because of all of this. And even me as me, this is how I know. How do you know? And this good friend of mine goes like, okay, it's a good challenge. You know, I believe them because everything they said is true, but I think you raise a good challenge. I need to go and investigate for myself. Like, how do I really know? Like, even if what they've said could be true, how do I back it up on my end? Because like I need to make my own decision. Like, yeah, you need to make your own decision. This all could be well and true and all good for you, and kudos to you. But don't just take someone else's word for it, because like this is an identity decision you're making. Like you woke up yesterday, you're a different person. Now today you woke up, you're now a completely new entity. Now it doesn't matter which side you're playing for. Like you're human, it's fine. But just know who you are. Like don't wake up the next day and say, now, you know what? I think yesterday when I changed, I was wrong. Now I'm going back. It's like, what are you doing? Decide, ground yourself, right? And so, but this is just one anecdote, but I've been seeing it a lot happening with many people. And frankly, personally, I kind of knock on the wood. I'm like, oh, wow. I'm glad I don't have to be in that situation where I have to kind of like question my identity of who I am. And at least for now, right? Who knows, right? At this point in time,
At least for now, you're confident.
I am very confident. I can definitively say right now, I am very sure of who I am, who I am becoming. Now, if you ask me about, 30 years from now, I don't know if the answer will be the same. But as of today, I am
You're
certain
confident.
and confident.
It must be, honestly, it must be a very tough time for someone struggling with identity. It must be tough.
Yeah.
It's because I cannot it's kind of imagine, because everything that you are comes out of that spot. The anchoring of what you are comes out of that spot. But then the next day you wake up and you're like, there is another in me. That must be. I cannot imagine how complex that can be to for one to actually even go through. It's, my goodness. And but I think that's the question that most people are asking. Who am I? Who am I? And people are willing to take whatever answer convinces them. The thing is, you can prove anything with evidence. You can prove anything with evidence, but evidence is not always true.
Yep.
So I think even today, as people are asking, who am I? What is a man? What is a woman? What is a human being? What is a child? These are things that we have to get back to, because we are getting a lot of discombobulation in identity, because people these days are identifying as frogs and I woke up and I'm a dog. It's identity. If we don't address identity, we are going to be very. And I think the most essential thing that even comes out of that, the most essential question is, what does it mean to be human? What is a human being? Because I think when you then answer what is a human being, then we can know what is a man, what is a woman, what is a father, what is a mother, what is a child. When we answer that, I think, So, how do you change hearts, and what is human? I think that's
we'll pick it up from there next time.
indeed.
Oh wow! Okay, this was so much fun, and we'll of course we'll do the editing and clean up whatever has to be cleaned up. But thank you so much for the conversation, and I do hope we can double click on those two big ones. next time and
Eh,
see where we go.
mm,
But I really, personally, I really enjoyed it. I liked the exploration.
mm.
I'm buzzing with so many questions right now. I kind of like, I'm going like, yeah, how do you, yeah, there's a lot I'm
Mm,
leaving that's left with me.
yeah.
So I just want to take a moment to appreciate you and thank you for showing up and for sharing a piece of yourself and,
You've captured my soul.
and your soul. Oh,
I see.
good. No, this was so much fun.
Yeah, it's so much fun for me as well, sir. So much fun. Our chats are always fun. They're always
Yeah.
always.
Yeah.
And as I said, we should.
Mm.
This is where they belong.
Yes. Yes. No, I think even us ourselves, when we look back on them in the future, we'll be re-inspired by
Precisely.
by these versions of ourselves. Kind of like, oh wait,
I was
I
that
was
guy.
watching. I was watching myself speak, and I think I told myself something that I need to remember from the past. You
Mm. Oh
know?
yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
No, that's
Uh,
good. Thank you
this is
so
good.
much. I'm going to stop the recording.
Awesome.
And
Awesome.
yeah.